I'm connected to my headphones.
Hi guys, it's Kath from Simple Reflect and Early Years Programming Mastermind, and I'm on a mission to help early childhood educators shine. Now, take two. I've just finished a podcast over in our Shyness and Educator group talking about helping our children cope, I suppose. Definitely looking at visual cues and different ways that it is our responsibility to really help our children. And I wanted to dig a little bit more into some of the questions that I've got this week. And I have to show you first. This is my office for the day. Ha ha. It's a bit cute, isn't it? I got a little bit stuck yesterday. I had a little bit of overwhelm, I suppose, myself. And I didn't get done nearly what I wanted to get done. So this is where I am chilling for the afternoon, just trying to get some of the answers done that I've promised people, just some trying to take fast but also get some work done. And then as you can see, I'm out here at the lake, like we're just sort of sitting, chilling, writing, and I came on and tried to connect up with my phone, and it kept coming up that there was 2 connections connected to it. I'm like, no, someone's trying to connect to my Wi-Fi. I don't know what was going on, but then it crashed twice. So we'll give it another go. I don't know that I can see people's comments is the problem. If you are here, say hi, let me know that you are here, because I don't know that my phone is going to show me the comments, but I would love you to say hi. If you have any questions for me, pop them in. This is how we roll. We are getting very close in our Shyness and Educator group, which is a critical reflection group that has the Shyness and Educator Challenge. So it has a whole month worth of critical reflection challenge on helping educators look at themselves and helping them cope as they go. So if that's something that you need, be sure to jump into that group. But we're up to 97, week 97 with the podcast, with the live podcast. And I'm super excited to get to 100. It'll be great. And I'll have to have a little bit of a think of what we're going to do in that group in a couple of weeks to celebrate, because we've got to celebrate. And I had a really weird question this week about what is a beautiful educator, because I say that a lot. I say, this beautiful educator asked me this, or this beautiful educator asked me that. And what do I mean by beautiful educator? I mean an educator that is conscientious and really cares about being an educator. And when they speak to me, they speak about the children and what benefits they can have to the children. And I love that. I think we need to recognize that it takes work to be a beautiful educator. It really does. The connection with the children, speaking to the children respectfully, those sorts of concepts that come naturally sometimes, but then also have to be worked on at other times. And that is what I mean by a beautiful educator. And I do. Oh my goodness, I have the most wonderful connections with beautiful educators now. I can't see any comments at all. I'm so sorry. If you are commenting and I'm not commenting back, then I sincerely apologize, because I can't see them. Sometimes you can see them if you turn the phone the other way, but no, not today. Say hi, pop in your questions. I will answer them when I hop off here. That will be a definite. I really enjoyed the podcast today, talking to educators about how they can help children cope, how we can cope ourselves. What sort of little sayings do we need in our heads that make us better educators? And there's some, and I'll share with you. Let me share with you some of my sayings that I say a lot to educators. Connection comes first. If you focus on connection rather than on how things aren't working, how can that move you forward? Or start where the child is at. Sometimes if we take a step back and we've been really frustrated with where a child is at, and we go, okay, I need to start where the child is at. How does it change your thinking so that you can actually move forward in a really positive way? We want to move forward with the children in a positive way. The other saying that I have is find a way that works for you. And this is directed to educators. Don't struggle around doing things that you think you should be doing. Don't struggle around thinking, doing things in a way that works for other educators but doesn't work for you. Find out a way that works for you and really dig in and work out how you can make that the best that you can make it for you. So they were 3 things that we talked about today. I just wanted to dive a little bit into some of the questions that I've got today. And this week I've had questions from a beautiful educator who really, she says she often feels like she can't give everyone what they need. And she is in a family daycare setting, so she's, feeling somewhat isolated. She's got 4 littlies. Definitely has at least 2 big ones, sometimes 3 big ones that come in after school. I've got a piece of hair that is annoying me. And I don't know, I just sometimes this sort of feeling of not being good enough and not trying to work, not being able to work through things and people not getting from us what they need to get from us. That can be quite overwhelming. That can be a really negative mindset to be in as an educator. We need to recognize that all we can do is be the best educator we can be. We can, connect with the children and those with around us and with our family in the best way that we can connect. I don't think that you can 100% of the time be 100% to everyone else. You just can't. Like, if you did that, you would not be even giving yourself what you need, let alone those around you. So sometimes we need to take a step back and go, okay, well, how can I make sure that I'm refilling my cup? How can I give myself, even if it's only 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes a week to start with, how can I make an appointment with myself to actually have a little bit of downtime and then go again? Because I think if we are feeling depleted and down and struggling, then we're not going to feel like we can give what we need to give to the others around us, and especially our family as well. We give so much to our daycare families and to our to the children that we care for, in way of connection, in way of our, just our thought process of making sure that every I has been dotted and T has been crossed. If we put so much of our energy into that, and realistically we have to as educators, then sometimes we don't have what's needed then for our family after hours. So start with taking a step back first. That would be my recommendation. That is what I would do if I was in that mindset of, gee, I just can't be everything to everyone. No, you can't be. You actually need to step back. You need to take a little bit of time. You need to work out what's important. You need to make choices around what really is important. And maybe it's, finishing an hour earlier. Maybe it's starting an hour later. Maybe it's dropping a day. Maybe it's changing your fee structure so you can afford to do that. Maybe it's working with, the next time you take on a child of a different age that you really, so you haven't got so many littlies, or maybe it's the opposite for you, work out what it is for you and make that choice around what you can give everyone. And I'm a little bit, I don't know, some years are harder than others. If you really focus on, okay, so when you have some educators, when they have all littlies, they find that very draining. But then other educators, when they have all littlies, they find that really empowering because they make such a difference. It is your mindset. It is how you actually look at what you're doing with your children that you've got in care. And if you need to change what children you've got in care so that you feel more energized and you feel like you're coping more, and then you've then got more energy to spend with your family, then that's what you need to do, and you need to make those choices. It doesn't want to like me today. At least it hasn't spat me off. It's being a little bit difficult. So another comment that I got is that this educator's son doesn't cope with coming home from school to find the daycare children and siblings have spent the day with mum. So, and something that she's already doing is spending a little bit more time one-on-one with her son, which is beautiful. That's where to start for sure. But other things you can also do is making sure that when they come home from school that they have their own space, that they actually have a little bit of a routine around, yes, maybe getting some afternoon tea and whatnot, but then having some space to themselves. And this is really important, and this is something that I've definitely done with all three of my sons, is to make sure that when they come home from school, rather than expecting them to jump straight into the daycare children's routines, they need to be treated a little differently. They need to be welcomed. They need to have their own morning tea, afternoon tea, and they need to have a little bit of space because and Maggie Dent, oh my goodness, I just love some of her videos, and she would be a great one to look at. She really speaks about wind down time after school and how important it is for all school age children to be encouraged to have wind down time. And I would think this is what your son needs. He needs some afternoon tea, and he needs some space of his own wherever you can do that. Is it a cubby that he needs to go to? Is it something special he can do on his bed? Is it a chair in the garden that he can sit on, and if he sits on that, in that chair, then, or swing or whatever, he knows that the daycare children won't annoy him. Those sorts of things that you can build as a routine that are acceptable to him, that he likes, that makes him feel special, not ostracized, that actually makes him feel special, they might help, and they're worth trying, absolutely. Maybe, again, it would come back to finishing early one day a week so that you can you pick him up from school and take him for afternoon tea at a cafe or something like that. We don't need to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 5 days a week. We seriously don't. There are other options. Maybe it's just one afternoon a week that you need to finish at 3:30 or 4. I don't know if that is something that you could look at, but it is definitely something to think about as well. The other thing that I would look at is, to make sure that the daycare children haven't been playing with his toys. Make sure that you have an allocated place for him to put his toys away so that they're not, so that he doesn't get home and find that they've been, playing with things that he deems special that you might not have even realised were special. Those sorts of little things can make a huge difference, absolute huge difference. And that sort of thing can make a difference with siblings as well. It is okay to put an older child's toys away while they're at school. The younger siblings do not have to have free reign with older children's toys and things as well. So that's one thing that I'll add there as well. And yeah, she says, I don't want my hard work to be all for nothing. And I think this again is a mindset This again is a mindset thing. You know, it's what you are doing currently with your children is not nothing. It's a really important time of their life. You are, being a family daycare educator, you are home with your younger children. You are having that connection with your son when he comes home from school. You know, if you're not getting the time that you need, then now's the time to make some real choices and make some changes. Just because we start the year one way doesn't mean we have to finish it. If something's not working, change it. And if that comes down to changing the times that we are being an educator, then yes, it may inconvenience our families, but if it will make us an educator with longevity that we might last, another 3 to 5 years instead of finishing at the end of the year, then, that is worth it for us, and it is probably worth it for most of our other families as well. So have a think about some really positives that you're getting from being an educator at the moment. Maybe a gratitude journal would work for you. Writing down 3 things that you're grateful for each day. When you finish the day, write it down. And when you get up in the morning, have a little read of what you wrote about yesterday. And sometimes that can be enough to just really change your mindset into being happy about what you're doing. We don't want to be miserable as educators. We really don't want to be. Oh, the sun's getting me. I don't know how to change it. We don't. Maybe there. We don't want to be miserable as educators. We owe it to our children, to be more respectful of our own time, I suppose. We want to be educators that love what we're doing. I really do. And I think that's my message this year. It really is. It's what I keep coming back to is that I really want to help educators love being educators. That's what I want. I want our children to have educators that love having educators, love being educators. Be an educator that loves being an educator. I'm going to unplug this and I'm going to move on to the log so that you can see the water behind me rather than the sun. But those were the 3 main things that I wanted to talk about, so I'm almost done. Sneaking down here onto the log. If I turn around, you can actually see the water rather than the bush. How beautiful is it? It's so nice today. And I do, finding 3 things to be grateful for. I feel super, super grateful that I get to have this as my office this afternoon. There you go. Can you think of something to be grateful for? I'd love it if you could. So, what have we got coming up? I need to share with you. My beautiful sister is doing a training with us on Tuesday in the EYP Mastermind. It is around children with additional needs and how you can use concepts in your daycare as an educator to really help your children cope and help your children, really love being in care with you. And one of those is around visual cues, and that is what I spoke about a little bit in our podcast today. So if you need some critical reflection, hop into the Shyness and Educator group and have a look. There are 97, because we're up to number 97, podcasts in there that will help you with critical reflection. If you are looking for support as an educator, then the EYP Mastermind is the place to be. And if you are looking for me to answer individual questions, I'm happy to do that. Just pop them in a PM and send them through to the Simple Reflect page. Have a beautiful week and remember to shine. Bye, guys. Okay, it wouldn't let me start and now it won't let me finish. Goodness gracious.